Hi, it's Cann, the Laughter Man, and today's episode we're digging through those archives. We're having a look to see what we can find, and we've got Mike Forrester, who's from Canada. I did initially think he was from the US when I did the Pass the Giggle phone. Now, if you don't know what Pass the Giggle phone was, last year, about this time last year, I passed a giggle phone around the world, and it went it's like a video that I'll put in the links below for about an hour and a half, 90 minutes of passing this laugh around the to lots of different laughter yogis, laughter yoga professionals, laughter therapists. It was an amazing experience connecting the world through laughter. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy. I don't know why I said get. I hope you enjoy today's video, and yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've got any questions or comments about laughter yoga, laughter therapy, how laughter is the best medicine, and I will hopefully hear from you very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It's really important so that you get to know when I'm bringing the latest video out, which is going to be quite regular now, because I'm bringing out videos on a weekly basis where it comes to working with laughter and your mental health, laughter, the benefits of laughter, laughter in workplaces, all the goodness about laughter. It's all about laughter. Anyway, enjoy the video, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm here with Mike Forrester from Canada, who is a mental health advocate, recreational therapist, laughter yoga leader, laughter yoga teacher, and a laughter yoga ambassador. He's also the founder of Laughing Off Life. I think that's about right, isn't it, Mike?
That's right.
Perfect. So, Mike, thank you very much for, well, second take. We'll see how we get on. So, what basically, let's just start off with a little bit about yourself, really, and how laughter came into your life.
Okay, so thanks again, Pete, for taking the time out of our busy schedules. Yeah, so like you said, I am a recreation therapist. So what that entails is I basically work with clients, individuals or groups. I figure out what their goals they want to work on, and the main quality is to improve quality of life through recreation and leisure. So at the time, October 2016, I was running our seniors outreach program at the time, and I was given the opportunity through my supervisor to take this 2-day certified laughter yoga leader training, which I wasn't interested, to be honest, at first. So I asked, like, are you going to pay for this? And they said, of course we're going to pay. So I said, sure. Every training I get, I take advantage of. So I signed up for it, and the time came around, and I did the training.
Perfect. And what was your initial thoughts when you they said laughter yoga?
Well, during school, probably 3 years before this, I heard about laughter yoga in school during my program, and I wasn't. It didn't hit me. I didn't want anything to do with it. I thought it sounded ridiculous. It wasn't something I thought I could do. But going back a bit, me being a mental health advocate, the reason I am a mental health advocate is because I've lived with anxiety and depression since probably I was 7 or 8 years old that I can remember. So I forget where I was going with that.
That's right.
So me being and ADHD as well, so I get lost in thoughts. But no, I was saying.
So that's so what
I was saying. So my background is being diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Me being at the time very pessimistic, very negative, didn't have an open mind about a lot of things. So I wasn't into laughter yoga. And then when I got the opportunity to do the training, I was a little more open minded. I started doing a little more work on myself with my mental health. I started practicing mindfulness and meditation. So I was open to do the training, but I wasn't looking forward or excited about the training, so to speak.
Okay.
And
And
then
so,
when sorry, I mean, I'll just touch base about the training and how I felt. But at the be like, so I did the 2 day training. I went the first day, finished the full day training. It was only two of us and the teacher. Um, and then I went home that night, and I wasn't like it wasn't like, oh wow, I'm excited to go back the next day. It just didn't click right away. And I thought to myself, how am I going to teach my seniors how to do this if I'm not confident in this exercise program? Because that's what laughter yoga is an exercise program, mind body exercise program. um, so I was the first night I went home and I was just, I don't know about this. But then I went back and I was like, you know what, let's just go back, have a little more open-mindedness about it. And during the training, we laughed a lot more the second day, and something just clicked while we were doing the laughter meditation. And we were laughing on the floor, we were laughing with our backs to each other, with our eyes closed, and just doing just a laughter meditation, free laughter, letting it flow from within us. And it felt amazing. And then I remember going home that day and I felt great. And that feeling actually lasted for days afterwards. So then I kind of really felt the benefits of laughter firsthand. I felt it. I was open and I let the laughter come out. So I really felt um, uh, the the full benefits from laughing so much over that weekend. Um, and yeah, so I got right into laughter yoga, dove right in deep, and connected with people all around the world, with daily laughers, Dave Berman, YouTube videos, books. I just started researching everything and connecting with people, and yeah.
perfect, perfect. So you mentioned that you were diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and I mean, were you on medication for that?
Yeah, so I am currently on medication. I'll tell you my medication history because I was really against medication. So I also have what we call in Canada substance use disorder. So um, I had an addiction to alcohol. I'm about 20 months sober from alcohol, and I also had a past with other drugs as well. Um, but so that's why I was worried about going on medication. So when I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder about 4 years ago, um, I really didn't want to take medication, but things were just getting worse. I did try other therapies. I went and talked to counselors. I started meditation, mindfulness, as I said, which took me a while to really um, see benefits from that. Um, so at first, I was really against the medication. I thought I would uh, become dependent on them or abuse them, just from my past problems with drugs. But then you know what, I researched the drug that they were going to give me. It's called Cipralex, um, and I started them, and you know, at the beginning it was rough. The medications made me feel like I was intoxicated, and I used the word sketchy. I was kind of all over the place, and my moods were up and down. I felt like blah. I didn't have any like emotions, or I had a flat effect, we call it. Um, but I stayed on them, and it only lasted a couple weeks. I was having weird dreams as well, and but I stayed on them, and I stayed on them for a couple of years, and I was on the medication while I started the training, started laughter yoga. But then I believe my years kind of are all jumbled together, but I believe it's 2000, end of 2018. I was doing really, really well. Was laughing a lot. I've been laughing with my seniors group at the time. I had my own laughter club. I was laughing with people on Skype at the time. So I was feeling really good, really positive. Things are going well with work. Um, I believe I was just getting sober. No, maybe not. That was the next year. But anyways, we yeah, I had a or no, I was having a really good year. And at the end of the year, I went off my medication because I thought I was doing really well. So I kind of stopped cold turkey, and then I noticed a couple months later that these thoughts were flooding back, and um, everything that came into my head, I automatically thought something negative was happening. Like at the time, for example, at the time, Max, I think he was a year old at the time, he was really sick and we didn't know what was wrong. So like I was thinking something terminal was like, I just automatically jumped to, oh my God, he's got cancer or he's got this or that. And just like, it was driving me crazy to say the least. So I went back and talked to my doctor and said, I think I need to get back on this medication. I stopped taking it. I thought I was doing really well. So then I started back up on that probably beginning of last year. And yeah, been on a lower dose since then. So definitely, I don't, if you're feeling good, definitely talk to your doctor first if you're on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication, just because there are withdrawal symptoms and you need to be weaned off the medication first. So definitely consult a doctor first before doing anything with prescribed medication.
And then thank you for sharing that, by the way, Mike. That's really,
Yeah,
really
I'm always
useful.
open.
So if we go back to sort of the laughter side of things, then, I mean, how would you say, because obviously you mentioned laughter, it definitely enhanced your life when you started and then you started joining the communities and everything. I mean, what other things have you noticed over the sort of last few years, how laughter's enhanced?
Well, the first few months that I was practicing laughter yoga, intentional laughter, I, I, I was feeling good, but I wasn't noticing like I notice now of how much I've really changed as a person because of laughing. Um, so first of all, it's made me resilient with my mental health, with my substance abuse in the past. Um, it's helped me a tremendous amount with um, my cravings for, sometimes I get cravings for alcohol. I think especially with this time of year with the sun coming out, it's one of my big triggers. So not so much this year yet, knock on wood, but last summer was a really tough year. So I used laughter to kind of fight those cravings. And um, I've also got through a tough year. Of one year we lost 4 people in our family between my wife and I I got through it with laughter, and I even posted a lot of videos and laughed after funerals and stuff. Just, like we can get through these hard times with positive, pleasant emotions, with letting it come from within, right? It's also made me more compassionate. I've always had a lot of compassion for people. I work with people. I work now with the homeless and people with a lot of mental health issues, a lot of addiction issues, a lot of traumatic pasts, brain injuries, just a lot of different people. So I've always had compassion, but now it's just I try to share laughter and my positivity, even a smile, with the people I work with strangers that I can tell are having a bad day, or they might need a smile or a pickup. So even those little things, we really can change the world with a smile or even a laugh with a stranger. Um, it doesn't make me anxious. The things that used to make me anxious don't make me anxious as much anymore. I still get my anxious moments, but they are lower than they ever have been. And my anxiety and depressive episodes don't last as long because the awareness is there. A negative, or not a negative, an unpleasant emotion is coming over me. So let's be aware of that. And hey, maybe if I laugh or if I just take a few deep breaths, my chemistry, um, my mind body connection will be more balanced and won't be so all mind.
Yeah.
If I start to laugh or I start to move, and even tapping can kind of take away some of those negative thoughts or emotions.
Yeah. Okay. So I get so with just going back to again, so you mentioned that you and your wife lost a few family members, and you were laughing after funerals and stuff. And obviously, if people are listening, they might just be thinking that's just a bit not weird, strange. I don't know, but like, do you want to just go through that feeling and why you
Sure.
did?
Good question. Very good question. So, for example, my aunt passed away in the summer. I think it was 2018 and or 17. And at first I didn't really, my aunt and I weren't very close, but ever since I was a teenager, I saw them every year, every birthday of my cousins, Christmases, birthdays, we were always together. But then as I grew older, weren't connected as much. So when my aunt passed away, um, it I, it was weird. I didn't feel the sadness I thought I should have felt, because grief is just totally different for everybody. And then I realized that year, every death you react differently, you grieve differently. So I think this was the third death that year. So I might have been I was just like numb to like death that year. But I remember going in and talking to my aunt, saying my final goodbye. She had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, um, and I was crying, but I was trying to make it positive, and I made a joke, and we both laughed, and like that was something I would never do. I probably would never even went in there and talked to her, but I knew going in there I was going to use laughter to kind of, it's not just for me but for her, like this. I couldn't even imagine going like what was going on through her head. So that's one example. And then later on in that year, one of my very close clients passed away. He had Alzheimer's. So I worked with him for almost 4 years and grew very attached to this gentleman. Really inspired by him. We laughed a lot together. I did laughter yoga with him a lot during our sessions in the car. I have some videos with him on my Facebook. And I was asked to be a pallbearer for this gentleman, which is like the president of my company reached out and said, Mike, this is like a tremendous honor. You should be very proud of yourself. Like, in my 30 years, I've never heard of this ever, like a client asking for their rec therapist to be a pallbearer, right? So just that right there was amazing. But I was a little anxious about that. Brought some anxiety, like, did I deserve this? And I that was brief, but I embraced it. And that funeral was very tough. It was a beautiful funeral. They had a lot of pictures, and I knew George. His name was George. I knew him and I knew about him, but just seeing the pictures of his past, and I was crying that whole wedding. And I'm just getting emotional thinking of it now. But I went right home and I did a laughter session in my kitchen, and I always remember it. And just I was crying through that session. And again, not to promote myself, but on my Facebook page I have a video of it, and you can see my face is red and I was crying. And I gave a tribute in that video to my client. And yeah, I just, stuff like that just kind of got me through those dark times. And we can experience some unpleasant times, but we can also choose to laugh, and um, with positive words, even, and emotions.
Definitely, and it's so they do say that laughing and crying is quite a similar emotion as well, isn't it? I think of use of the breath and everything, and it's
100%. And yeah, like, and if you ever noticed, when you get into a deep laughing fit with someone, or if you even remember playing around with cousins or having one of those sleepovers when you're 7 or 8, and you're just laughing all night long, and you like, that's what you um that's what you were trying to get at. Sorry, I got trailed off. I was trying to think. What was the question again? I was thinking about my 7 and 8-year-old sleepovers and oh, laughing and crying.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we're laughing, so when we get to that state and we're laughing so much, it usually, not always, some people might not, but it will turn into crying. And same thing, if you cry a lot, like some people do at a funeral, that's where a lot of crying takes place. Even weddings, sometimes, people laughing or crying so much that it actually turns into laughter as well. And the tears are the same, I believe. I'm not too sure about the chemical, but I think it is the state. We use the same tear glands, and it's interchangeable. So there's a big connection between crying and laughing, right?
Nice.
And if you read that laughter, I think that's where you got it from, is Annette Goodhart. Yeah. It's so true that they're very similar emotions, right? But
Yeah.
we as humans tend to label it as a good or bad, right? But it's just an emotion.
It's
So
just the
like
same.
they all enter. Like, there's not like negative, like unpleasant, and there's unpleasant like sadness and anger, but it's a continuum kind of thing, right? So we're happy, we're joyful, we're super excited, then we get down and we come up. It's kind of like a roller coaster.
It's just a bit like a COVID lifestyle, I think, that roller
Yeah.
coaster.
Yeah, right.
It's
Here we are. Oh, we're coming back.
that's something that I've noticed, and my wife picked up on this week. Actually, it's just like, one day you're up, Pete, the other day you're down, and it's trying to find that even kill, really. But we'll get through it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And if you're listening to this in 4 years' time, there was this thing that happened 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Google 2020.
Yeah. See what didn't happen.
Yeah.
So obviously during the different or the years that you've been practicing and teaching and facilitating laughter sessions, have you got any that stick in your mind? A quick interlude for you. I hope you're enjoying today's interview and getting lots of knowledge when it comes to laughter and laughter yoga. Now, if you want to find out more about how laughter can benefit your life, why not subscribe to my channel below and press that little notification bell and get a notification anytime a new video comes out. Now, on with the interview.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I know one for sure I'm going to tell you, but I'm trying to think of one that was fun. Well, one that I did was an intergenerational session. So what that means is as a recreation therapist, there's ways to do programming. So one way is to combine different age populations. So for instance, preschool and seniors. So mixing and getting seniors or a kindergarten class or a grade 1 class to go to a long-term care home and do a program. We've done that before with in the long-term care homes. So what I did was at the time I was running a seniors outreach program. So I did laughter yoga with my seniors in a community center, where we shared our program with. We also have an early years program. So the supervisor there connected with me and she said, "Hey, why don't we do this? Or why don't you come and do a session with my kids?" So then I brought, why don't we do it together? So why don't you bring the kids and their parents? So it was like toddlers. So it was like 2 to 4-year-olds and their parents or whatever guardian they had with them. And I think I had about 4 of my senior ladies come. And it was probably one of my harder sessions to lead just because I was newer to laughter yoga. And I just felt like I had to be leading exercises, but these kids were just in their element. And if you know laughter yoga, one of the main elements of laughter yoga is a childlike playfulness. So we're trying to get back to that state which these kids were clearly in, running around, hands in the air, screaming, laughing, and I'm trying to make it all ordered at the time. But just my seniors loved it. They seniors love children. it brings them a lot of joy, memories from their past and their grandkids, when they had their children, if they had children. So that was one that really sticks out in my head. So I would love to try that again now that I'm a more experienced teacher. But the one that stuck out, and we talked about this the other day, was I was hired from a woman who she has her own cancer business where she supports people who are in stage 3 or 4 cancer. She helps caregivers with resources and support. So I was referred to her by somebody, and she reached out and asked me if I would be willing to do a session for a family. The daughter reached out, and she said her father was just diagnosed with prostate cancer, stage 4, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The daughter was getting married. She lives in Australia. She flew over for the next few months to live. They gave him like a few months to live. So she was living there, getting married, doing it all like before he passed. And she wanted to do this. She heard about laughter yoga, and she wanted to have some positive memories while he was passing. So not the typical negative and crying and nothing, not that there's anything wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. But she wanted to like have a good time and just laugh, and she wanted to record it and take pictures. And at first I took it right away. And this is another thing that I've noticed from laughter yoga. Back in my anxiety days, I call them, I would have thought about it. I probably would have said no, to be honest, because of how I thought about myself, and I'm going to do something wrong, and there's no way I can do this for these people. I said yes right away. I knew that this was happening for a reason. So I took the gig. Well, I call it a gig. She paid me, but she paid me for an hour. I went to this gig, not even thinking of money, which I never do anyways, but just I didn't, time was not an option. It was not in my mind with the session. I was there for this family. This was more intimate than any session I think I'll ever do again. So yeah, the person who hired me, I asked a lot about the family. Can you give me a background, stuff they like, what's their country of origin, just to have something in my kind of my laughter exercises for the session. So yeah, I got there, and the family was so welcoming. They brought me in, asked me if I wanted anything to drink or to snack on. It was the mother, the father, the daughter, the fiance, and then 3 neighbors, I believe, 3 or 4 neighbors, really close friends. So we sat in the living room and we chatted for probably half an hour, just kind of talking about grandkids and kids and just positive, joyful things in life, what they like to do. And then I kind of explained what laughter yoga was, and then the session started, and it was just so amazing. Just the laughter flowed so easy. I didn't have to facilitate anything. It was perfect. This family, you could tell there was so much love in this family, and even the friends were so loving. We did a lot of gratitude laughter and like self-loving and sending positive vibes. We even put the father in the center, and we all blessed him with laughter, and it was just a beautiful session. And then we sat and we cried and we laughed and we cried, and yeah, I think I was there for 2.5 hours, and it was just, yeah, something I'll never forget. And just the connection I felt with the family was, yeah, by far one of the best feelings I've had with laughter yoga.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that again. It's
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a deep, amazing experience, and it's Yeah, wow. Okay, it got me again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mike, what would you say to anyone who wasn't sure about how laughter could help them?
Um, just be open. It might be weird at first. There's very few people I've seen personally who just get it right away, you know. Um, there's very few I've seen who just are natural. Um, but give it a try. Like I said at the beginning, I didn't like it. I thought it was weird, but something was pulling me back. And even the second time, it just felt totally different, and I felt the benefits um, for days after, and then just kept going. And at the beginning, I felt like I was forcing my laugh, but now 3.5 years later, I can laugh like just by turn. It's like a switch; I can turn it on. But back then, it was like I was like trying to force it out. So just try to let it out, and there's no right or wrong way, just keep coming back. It's like, I'm not big into AA, but they that's what they say in meetings, right? They say keep coming back, and it does help. More practice you do, you'll find the benefits of laughter showing up in your life. You won't be as stressed out. Like I work in a stressful environment. I have 2 young children, 5 and 3 years old. I have a mortgage and bills is coming out everywhere. So, you didn't see that, but I'm doing Visa bill laughter. So yeah, but since I've done laughter yoga, I kind of, the stress dissolves. Like I still get stressed, but I don't dwell on it, and I can just let the stress kind of dissolve with laughter. It doesn't solve all my problems, but it will help my problems dissolve, right? It's not going to eliminate my anxieties and my debt, but it'll help my outlook and the reaction I have to these so-called unpleasant or negative things in my life. So laughter can combat that very, very well,
Perfect.
amazingly. Yeah.
So you mentioned Visa bill laughter, and this is probably a prime opportunity to do two of your favorite laughing exercises. Now, obviously, people are listening to this, so you've got to try and explain it, which is the fun bit.
I've never done that. Okay. So just for added suspense, Pete, why don't we close our eyes? Okay. Okay. So one of my favorite exercises I call it stress release laughter. So what we do is we hold our hands out, palms facing up, and we're going to take a long, deep breath as we put our hands into fists, and we bring our fists to our chest. Okay. So we're breathing in. And then we hold that breath as long as we can. Hold that stress in, okay? But don't let it out. Hold that stress in as long as we can. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Ready? And then let it out with laughter. I love it.
Can I open my eyes?
Those happy chemicals.
Oh, brilliant.
And another one, relate. I relate these to mental health. Some groups that I do are with mental health groups. So stress release is a great one, because even for everybody deals with stress in their own way in their life. So it's perfect, and it's a good release. So the second one is, I call it negative to positive laughter. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine a negative emotion or thought floating in the air, and then we're going to catch it with our hands with a ha. And then we release that negative thought or emotion into the air with a positive, with the laughter, obviously. Okay, ready? So we'll do this a few times. Ready? Ha. Very good.
Very good. Yay! Fantastic, fantastic. So the other thing, obviously, as part of the other thing about with laughter, obviously there's the grounding side of things afterwards. And so what I like to do sort of now is sort of a bit of a grounding meditation, like a couple of minutes. But I like to say, first of all, if you are driving or operating any heavy machinery right now, it's not a good time to be meditating. So feel free just to turn mic off now. That's fine.
Bye.
And I'll just take a seat second as well, so I don't fall over.
Okay. You want me to just lead?
Just a couple of minutes.
Couple minutes. Okay. All right. So yeah. So the reason we do the grounding exercises, so in a laughter session, Zoom session, online session, when we laugh so much, we're releasing serotonin and dopamine, endorphins. So after in a session, we laugh for probably 15 to 20 minutes or more. If we just left at that time, we would be so flooded with all these happy feelings that we're going to crash eventually. So the reason we do these grounding exercises is to kind of balance those energies out and to give us a more balanced energy, so we're not going to crash. So we do a lot of different grounding exercises, but the one I'm going to show you that we can do together is just a easy mindfulness of breath meditation. So how we start is you sit comfortably, or if you want, you can lay down. So if you're sitting, just sit with your back straight and just relax. You can plant your feet on the ground. If you're laying down, again, try to elongate the spine. Rest your arms beside you. Oops. And just sink into the seat or the ground or cushion and just relax. And notice the natural breath. Don't try to change it. Just notice it coming in and going out. And notice with each breath, the body becoming more relaxed. The stress hormone cortisol lowering. Our energy being calming, relaxing. Now just bring your awareness to your body, specifically the points touching your chair, your seat, floor, cushion, wherever you're sitting. Just feel your body touching those spots. So your feet, your calves, your legs, your bottom, your back in the chair. And just feel the connection to your environment, to each other. Now turn your awareness to your breath. So where the breath is entering the body, so where you notice it. So for myself, notice the breath I like to notice the breath at the nose. So feel the breath at the nostril when you breathe in. And then feel the sensations as you breathe out. In. And out. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can notice your belly rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. And we'll do that a couple times. Now, normally we would continue doing this for 5 to 10 minutes. But for the sake of this program, we'll take 3 more deep breaths and then we'll finish. We'll finish and open our eyes. Okay, so take one last deep breath, or sorry, our first deep breath in through the nose. And breathe out nice and slow. Push all that air out. Okay, second breath, breathe in nice and deep into the belly. And exhale, slowly pushing all the stale air out. Okay, and then our last breath, start to bring your attention back to the room. Breathe out. Open your eyes if they're not open. Stretch.
And start your car again. Oh, it's brilliant. That's amazing. It's yeah, the thing is, like with the meditation, it was a good idea. It is a good idea because I think you're right with you get all those positive endorphins and the dopamine, and it's all just all up there, isn't it? And then you do need that grounding side of things. So, but
Yeah.
I suppose after I started doing this, I was like, oh wait, there actually people do drive, they run, they lots of times they're listening at the same time. So I might just put the meditation at the end of the recording, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We can do things with this. So perfect. So where would you say is the best place to find you, Mike, if someone wants to reach out to you?
Facebook. I have Laughing Off Life is my Facebook page. I'm on Instagram at Laughing Off Life. Facebook is where I do a lot of my content. I do a lot of videos, advertising for my trainings, Laughter Club updates, my contacts all there, my phone number, email, or emails best too. So Mike at laughingofflife.com. Yeah, and and it's not just for laughter, it's mental health. If people are struggling, I have a lot of people that reach out, and I encourage that because I know it's helped me tremendously with my mental health. Yeah, so I encourage people to reach out if they have questions about mental health as well, or techniques that could help them, not just about laughter, but
yeah, and I'm
other.
sure I was going to say I'm sure there's people that are listening to this that will maybe be sat there going, oh, I don't know if I should. I can relate to a couple of things that Mike said, but I've only sort of got to know you recently, but I believe that massively that you're an approachable guy. So
yes, 100%.
Perfect. So
laughingofflife.com. I do have a website. It does have to be updated, but you can find some more information of laughter yoga on there as well.
Perfect. So final thought then, what are the 3 things that bring you joy?
My children. That's kind of an easy one, right? Definitely my children. Um, I don't want to say the easy one and say laughter. um, you know what? I'm really realizing brings me a lot of joy is community. Um, and that doesn't mean where you live. That can be anywhere, and including everybody into everything. So like my laughter community is huge. Brings me a lot of joy. Laughing with people online. My work people, like helping people when they're at their worst, really brings me joy. So I guess compassion, like having that compassion for people, really brings me joy. It really helps my recovery with substances and with my mental health. And last but not least, what brings me joy? You can't see, but the beautiful sun, I think, is I'm really noticing. It has such a great impact on our mental health. Um, yeah, I love it. But laughter brings me instant joy. Um, yeah, family, friends, so many things.
Perfect.
Gratitude. There's so many things to be grateful for and be joyful for. We can find joy in everything. And laughter will help with that 100%.
Brilliant. Mike, thank you so much. It was yeah, nice to get chatting again, and we got there. No battery failure or anything this time. It was good.
Yes, thank you so much, Pete. I appreciate your time, and I wish you luck um, on this podcast program slash series. And if you need any help, I would love to help, or be another guest talking about mental health. I'll be there in a flash. So I wish you all the luck.
Perfect. Take care, Mike.
Yeah, man, you too. Thanks, man.
Cheers. Bye.